You know, unlike Julia, I love Naples. I even went there on holiday. I'm rather fond of the crazy towns. Perhaps that's why I want to loiter here in Bangkok for as long as possible before my journey actually starts. It takes a hefty 12 hours to get to Bangkok from London, and after being stuck in a plane for that long, I'm glad to be in a place that does the opposite of sitting still. Bangkok's one of those places you simultaneously experience the past and the future in, and it's my starting point for a journey to its ancient predecessor, Ayutthaya, now more of a ruin than a capital. Unlike Ayutthaya, Bangkok's a well-known destination, but it's far from boring. Bangkok's definitely one of the most exciting cities I've ever been to. It's deeply interesting on almost every level. It's got delicious food, fantastic culture, and it just feels alive the moment you arrive here. It's also got the worst traffic in the world. Bangkok has got almost as many motor vehicles as it does people, and public transport is viewed with disdain here. There's actually a very fast and clean metro system, but it doesn't cover nearly as much of the city as you'd like. Whether you're stuck in a tuk-tuk or an Alfa Romeo, traffic is still bloody traffic. A green light in Bangkok doesn't mean go, it means go if there's not solid traffic right in front of you. Now, if you do get to move along, the city's very impressive, and a cheap and very hairy tuk-tuk ride is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, one that you might not rush to repeat. The pace of this city is extra frenetic, but there's plenty to remind you to slow down, whether it's the traffic or a 45-metre gilded statue known as the reclining Buddha at the Wat Po Temple. This is not one of those towns you can do in a day, and it's a different place by night. We're currently in Chinatown, which is not one of the greatest places to come in the day in Bangkok, but at night it has the most incredibly delicious street food. As well as Chinatown, the notorious Pat Pong district has a wide variety of goods and services for sale. I've come looking for some delicious deep-fried insects, but end up buying some very cheap DVDs, which don't work. You know, I think it's fair to say that Bangkok's such an intense city that initially when you arrive here, it can be pretty daunting, but the key, definitely, is to jump right into it and immerse yourself in that amazing energy of the city. Not to mention immerse yourself in a plate of delicious Thai food. Honestly, I could happily spend a couple of weeks in Bangkok without getting bored. But I'm not here to hang around, I'm here to go upriver and backwards in time. This is one of the world's great rivers. The Chao Phraya stretches for 230 miles, practically bisecting the country. Think of it as Thailand's Thames. If you want to get to the heart of Bangkok, you've got to get on the river. There's no stronger contrast to the modern anxiety of this prosperous 21st century city than the journey I'm about to take on a slow boat to Thailand's first capital, Ayutthaya. My ride is more Bentley than boat. The Makala used to transport rice, but now it's been converted to carry tourists in very comfortable style. The journey from Bangkok to Ayutthaya takes a leisurely 24 hours, including an overnight stop. And all I have to do is, well, what do I have to do? You know, one of the things I especially like about travelling on rivers is that it forces a certain kind of pace on you. And the pace of this particular journey, I would say, is absolutely perfect. Fast enough that it never gets boring. At the same time, slow and leisurely enough that it's very relaxing. It gives you time to take everything in. This luxurious cruise costs about £200, and it includes your meals, drinks, and very cute little air-conditioned cabins. It's not particularly cheap, and you can always take the river bus. But what other hotel rooms have these kinds of constantly changing views? All I can do with the experience is digest it. Oh dear, really? Just pour it down. Good, thank you. Even if you don't practice the Thai form of Buddhism, Thailand's temples are pretty spectacular. One of the more famous is Wat Phra Khao, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha. It's one of the world's most religious sites. The temple is part of the Grand Palace in Bangkok. What's so nice about this process is that it's a combination of activity, travelling up the river, experiencing the waterborne culture, whilst at the same time effectively doing practically nothing. From our privileged position, we get to experience other locations that aren't as well visited as the Wat Phra Khao, like the Wat Khai Tia, a temple populated by monks and dogs that we moor at for the night. 90% of Thais are Theravada Buddhists. It's a form of Buddhism that's complicated for outsiders to understand, but one that has exceptionally beautiful monuments. It's hard to eat badly in Thailand, but this starlit dinner is especially delicious. Next day, and we're off again, rather gently. Today it takes us a very relaxing 4 hours river tripping to arrive at Ayutthaya, Thailand's capital from the 14th to the 18th century.
Well, as I mentioned to you in Bangkok, we're not only travelling through space on this journey, we're also travelling in a way through time.
And we've travelled about 250 years in about 24 hours. It costs a very reasonable 50 pence to enter the site and quietly wander the lonely ruins of what was once a huge city of around 1 million people. Ayutthaya thrived for about 400 years until 1767 when the Burmese destroyed it and it was abandoned. This Southeast Asian ghost town is a great contrast to the non-stop excitement of Bangkok, and you can feel your perceptions shift a little here. But in spite of this spectacular history towering around me, am I feeling a bit underwhelmed?
It's funny, but the problem with taking a journey as good as the one we've just taken is that it can end up overshadowing the destination. The ruins of Ayutthaya are undeniably spectacular, but for me, they don't quite compare with the wonderful sensation of floating upriver on that incredibly relaxing and comfortable boat.